Okay, so next we're going to talk about infinite series. So we have what is a common ratio of 1 plus 1/6 plus 1/36 plus dot dot dot. And obviously this is going to continue on forever. Let's figure out r. Well, they look like they're dividing by 6 each time, which is the same as multiplying by 1/6. So that would be 1/6. So the first term is 1. 1 plus 1/6 is 1 and 1/6, which I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I'm not going to estimate it. Plus 1 and 1/36. Uh-oh. So this is 1 and 7/6, I believe. I'm sorry, 7/36. And so it's a little bit bigger, but not much. What happens to r to the n if you do 1/6 to the 1, let's say we did it to the 5th or something. This is 1 over 6 to the 5th, which this is 1 divided by, I don't know what that number is, 36 times 36 times 6. That's a pretty big number. Maybe it's like, let's just pretend it's 2,000. Obviously, we don't know. It's not exactly 2,000. I don't know off the top of my head. But if you divide 1 into 2,000 pieces, each piece is pretty small. It's almost close to 0. But if you get even bigger and say we put 1 over 6 to the 1,000, which isn't even that big in terms of infinity, you can see that this is incredibly small at this point. A calculator might not even be able to calculate that for you. And so this is very close to 0. This is about 0 being added. And so, how does this change our formula? Well, it makes this part irrelevant. So your formula just becomes a1 over 1 minus r. Okay, so if we wanted to find the infinite sum of this equation up above, we would simply do 1 divided by 1 minus 1/6, which is equal to, sorry, let me write it down here, 1 minus 1/6, which is equal to 1 over, I believe this is 5/6, which is equal to 6 over 5, which is 1 and 1/5. Okay, and so if we wanted to do that, that would be the sum if you added them all the way to infinity. And so that would be the total for the whole thing. Now, if r is less than 1, then that obviously is that's the formula. It has to be a decimal for this to work that way. However, if the absolute value of r is greater than 1, we say it does not converge. That is the term. It means it does not go to a specific number in particular, because each time that it gets bigger and bigger, it is going to make the number larger, the sum larger and larger, because instead of it going towards one number like 1 and 1/5 like the last problem, that number is going to be, let's say it's 2,080, well then the next one might be 4,090 or something, or 4,160 or something like that. Maybe it's doubling, and it will not converge, and so it'll keep adding and getting bigger and bigger. So that would be your explanation for it. The next one says find the sum of the following. So in this one, they are dividing by -1 apparently. Or I'm sorry, they're dividing by -3. So r is, r is equal to -1/3. A1 is equal to -3. So we have -3. This is infinite because it just shows dots. -3 and 1 minus -1/3 is going to be -3 over 1 plus 1/3, -3 over 4/3, which is -3 over 1 times 3/4. I've just done keep, change, flip. This is actually 3 over 1. And so this is going to be -9 over 4, which is 2 and 1/4. These will converge to -2 and 1/4. That will be the sum of this. Okay. Which makes sense because it's kind of alternating. You can see then it adds 1 to it, so it goes to -2, but then it subtracts and goes back lower, and just keeps oscillating. So it does something like this. If it starts at -3, it comes up 1, goes back down a little bit less, comes back up a little bit less, and then it just sort of like tapers and starts going like that. Each time you add them, and you get to -2 and 1/4 from that. Find the sum of the first 75 terms. So we want S75. Well, we had the formula from earlier. We have 75 times A1, which is 9. Oops. Plus, we need to figure out the 75th term. So the 75th term here, our formula is going to be A1 is equal to, AN is equal to A1 plus 75 times D. Okay, this is another formula we'll be using from time to time. D is the distance between numbers. So this is going to be A75 is equal to A1 is 9 plus 75 times 3. So this is 9 plus 150, 225, which I think is 334. No, I'm sorry, 234 over 2, which I don't, let's think. Wait, that's 2 odd numbers, isn't it? Let me think. Is that 225? That's the question. Let's see. It must be. I'm pretty sure it is, but it would still be odd. $243. That's not good. I don't see how this could be. All right, I'll figure these out on another. I'll figure this out and then I'll do another video. Thank you guys.